Salutations and welcome, boys and girl. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a VR chat model, but in Beat Saber. What you want to do, you scroll up to May 30th. You'll see and his post for the avatars it. Don't download that. Scroll down. Thursday, whatever the hell Thursday was. Small fix. Just download this. You'll be good to go. When you do, you'll get this fancy zip file. Go ahead and open that up. Fuck you, WinRAR. Take all this shit out. Uh-oh. There it is. There you go. Yeah. So you got these three things. This is your mod. I'm going to take care of that right now. These for actually making it. So once you extracted that, you'll see all these three files. This template for Blender, the avatars, you don't need it. We'll be taking care of any of the issues with sizing in Unity and not Blender, because Unity is a hell of a lot easier changing the values of the size. So you're going to go ahead and open your Beat Saber file. If you're using Steam, it's wherever you have your game installed. It's for me, local disk C, program files x86, Steam apps common, you know, the old shebang of that. If you're not sure how to get to it and you don't want to mess around with this stuff, go ahead and open up Steam. Ooh, connecting. Look at that. Alright, then you want to go to your library. You're going to go to Beat Saber, right click on it, go to Properties, and then you're going to go ahead and click on Local Files, and then Browse Local Files. It'll take you to the same exact place. So once you're in your Beat Saber folder, want to do, after you have that opened, you've got the two files, go ahead and drag these two literally straight in, move to Beat Saber, and then replace files if you already have the mod or it's outdated. This is the newest version as of now. In your custom folders, obviously I have more than that, but more mods, but you'll see custom avatar right here. That's how you know you're good. And then you got custom avatars, which, yeah, you got that stuff. Don't judge me. Alright, so the next thing you want to do is go to Blender, download the latest version of Blender. I already have it, so I'm not going to download it. It's a simple process, literally. Download and install. After you have Blender downloaded, you want to go to the GitHub, link in the description, and this will take you to the Cats plugin because you'll need that. The newest version right now is 0.8.1. You're going to go ahead and scroll down in the installation portion. You'll have a link to it. You click on that. You can download it straight to your desktop, wherever. Just remember where you put it. I already have it, so I'm not going to download it. And then there is an installation guide all right here on the website for you. So I'm not going to go over any of that since it's right here. Alright, so next up, after you have Blender and the Cats plugin, you're going to want to go ahead and download Unity. You're going to go to the archive, which, again, link in description, and download one of the 2017 versions. I use 2017.1.3, should be this one, but as long as it's 17 version, you should be good. But if you want to be safe, just go ahead and go with this one. And another thing to mention too, if you already have Unity installed, like I do, I have an older version for VR chat and then this. You can install two separate versions. You just have to make sure the install path of the newer version or the second one you're installing is set to a different file location. I have mine installed onto a completely different drive just because I have the extra drive to do it. But as long as the path is set to something different that is not the current one for whatever version you have, it should be good to go. So another thing that you may want for this video, should you have any sort of movement in your character. Yeah, you saw it. You saw the jiggly bits. Alright, so if you want dynamic bones, here's a package. I'll have a link in the description. Just let me know in the comments below if it ever dies, because reasons. Go ahead and go to Google. Let's go ahead and download your model. You can literally do whatever the hell you want. Doesn't matter what it is, as long as it has bones, it'll make your life easier. Okay, so once you have Blender opened up, I'm going to go ahead and import your file. So you're going to go ahead and click on the PMX in the folder that you choose. Go ahead and import model as .pmd.pmx. Now we have our model. Looks pretty ugly, doesn't it? Yeah, we gotta fix some stuff. So, how I move in the screen, rotation, just holding the middle mouse button, and then to actually move camera around, hold shift and then middle mouse button, and then scrolling zooms in and out. You go ahead and fix the model. Alright, there we go. So, now that you have your model, you can go ahead and, if you right click on it to highlight the model itself and hit H, it'll hide the body. And then go ahead and right click on the skeleton, so now the skeleton is highlighted. Hit tab, and that'll open up, well, that'll go into edit mode. You can also see down here, got edit mode. I'm gonna click on the screen somewhere, and then you're gonna hit Shift A, and the bone's gonna appear. Click on the bone, and then you want to go ahead and go to the upper right corner. You'll see a little icon. It looks like a bone. Click on that, and then you want to change the X, Y, and Z of the head all to 0. And then you're going to go ahead and change the tail to the head of the hip, which you come around here, right click on the lowest bone before the legs. It should say hips. Like if you're up one, it's going to say spine, and then if you hit the wrong one, you got all the different names. You just find hips wherever your pelvis would be. You're good to go. And then you can see the head is 0, -60, -0.060, and then that stuff. So go ahead and click on this. I'm going to go ahead and change that to 0. And then this one is -0.060. And this one is 1.117, I believe. Oh shit, the Z is 119. There, look at me go. 119. There we go. Definitely didn't mix that up. Alright, now go ahead and rename this bone to something that you'll remember. It's your big boy bone. Alright, once you have that named and all the coordinates set, you're going to go ahead and click on the hips. And then you want to go down to parent, and then you want to make it big boy. I'm going to click on that. Alright, so now, a little new thing that I haven't done yet, but we're going to do now. We're going to learn together. Is we're going to go ahead and make a shape key for your hands. This is magic. Shape keys are magic in Blender. So you can either do this in Blender, or you can do this in Unity. But to adjust the hand so that way you're not just default hand with the saber just glued to your hand. You want to change the hand position. So what you can do is go into, you want to go ahead and go to click Start Pose Mode. Then you can right click on the hands and adjust them as needed. And if you get an error message saying that you can't do that because they're not in pose mode, just click on the armature, which is this little button. It's just a little T-pose looking dude. And then you want to make sure that it's not in rest position. You want to make sure that it's in pose position. I'm going to go ahead and rotate this. However, as you can see, it doesn't want to rotate. If this happens to you, the bottom left near the near pose mode, where it's labeled there, just to the right of it, there's an arrow with 3 dots. Go ahead and select that, and that should disable move center only, and then you're free to move the hands however you please. I'm just gonna kind of roughly do this because I like doing it in Unity, just because that's how I've done it. Once you have both the hands adjusted to where you want them, it's kind of hard to see with the model, so if you go to solid, you can kind of see the stuff a little better. The hands are kind of shoddy work, but I'm not going to worry about that. Alright, after that, once you have that done, you're going to go ahead and click pose the shape key, and then it'll take you back into pose mode. You're going to right click on the model so it's highlighted in orange, and then go to this little tab right here, the object data tab, and then you'll see vertex groups. You want to make sure you scroll all the way down, and you'll see that MMD vertex order is selected. And then under shape keys, you'll scroll all the way down, and you'll see this pose. And it's going to be kind of wonky right now. So you double click pose, and you want to go ahead and change it to hands closed, and then that part is taken care of. So now the hand would be closed, and it has a shape key. Okay, and after that, go to start pose mode and then stop pose mode again. It'll reset the hands, but you'll still have your shape key. And when you I'm just pinning it, but when the value is set to 100, you'll see that. Don't worry about the bones right now. They're fine. It's just what it looks like because Blender is weird. Or at least it is for me. Okay, once you're done with that, alright, now the hands are done. So before we export, we have our character mostly done. We've got your textures and stuff. There's a lot of textures. We don't want that. We want less. So what we're going to do is go over to the cats plugin once again, because that's our savior. We're going to go ahead and click on optimization, and then we're going to go ahead and atlas that stuff. So texture size, your choice. I recommend 2048 because file's not as big, but this isn't VR chat, so you don't have to worry about bogging someone's computer down. So if you want, you can just go with 4K. The margin, you can either keep at 0.01. I put it at 0.2 because sometimes there's texture clipping, and that's never fun. And then the rest of this stuff you can leave as default. Alright. You'll get this message if you just hit create. So what you gotta do now is go ahead and click file, then save as. You gotta save a Blender file because Blender likes to do that. So you can just save it to whatever. Blah. Save it to your desktop or something just so you have it. Save as a Blender file, and then you can go ahead and atlas. Alright, whoa there. Alright, you're gonna go to file, export, FBX, and then go ahead and save it after you change apply settings. Make sure it's FBX all. It's standard, it's set to all local, but you want it FBX all. And then go ahead and export. So, one thing that you really want to make sure you don't mess up is this. So we exported the file, and then we have the atlas image. This atlas image will only work with this specific export. Like if you were to go back in and re-atlas or something and then try to put the new atlas texture on this one, it'd completely break. So these two have to stay together. Just remember that. Now, I'm going to start up Unity, and then you won't see any of this if you just installed a new version, or you may see some old stuff, like for example it shows the version of, yeah. So what you're going to want to go ahead and do, click on open, and then you're going to go to the location of that, and then you're going to go ahead and click select folder. When you click that folder, it's going to open up the project in Unity, and then from there on after you'll see the project itself in that list that we saw when we first opened up Unity. These two right here, you won't see those. These are because of stuff I messed with. Okay, so when you first go ahead and start up Unity and have the assets folders, you're going to see some of this stuff. Not all of it, but you're going to see some. The dynamic bones, that, you're going to go ahead and install that real quick. All you got to do is click on assets, import package, custom package, and then you want to go to the location of it. Click on that, click open, and then it'll bring up this prompt to make sure everything's selected, and then click import. And then it'll take a couple of seconds to import, and then you'll have this new folder with dynamic bones, and it's just got some stuff that you don't really have to pay attention to. Alright, now for the meat and potatoes of this. I'm going to go ahead and create a folder just to keep it clean, and then go ahead and name it the name of your avatar, or whatever the hell you want to name it. You're going to go ahead and open that up, and you're going to make another file. Hold on. Once you have your file made that has materials inside it, once you have the file made, you're going to go ahead and drag and drop the texture file that was atlased, and then the FBX files into the folder that you made. That'll do its thing. Then when you open it up, you'll have both of those. You can go ahead and drag the texture into the materials tab, and then you can click on your rig, and then you can click on materials, extract materials, and then select the materials folder. Inside it, it should be wherever you have, it should just open directly up to this. You can select folder, and then it'll make the material in there. And then you can open up the materials, and you'll see you have an actual material for it. You're going to go ahead and select the model inside the folder, and then click on rig, and you're going to change the animation type to humanoid and apply. Next, what you're going to do is click configure. It'll generate the model and then show all the bones and stuff. What you want to do when this pops up is go through all of these and make sure they're all correct. Usually they are, but you always want to double check just for good measure. It's like the hips, all the bones are assigned correctly. You want to click on head, make sure those are all correct. The three bottom ones for the left eye, the right eye, and the jaw aren't really important for this. They are in VRChat, but not this, because you're not going to be making any visemes or speaking. But the ones that are the head and the neck. Next, you want to go to the hands and double check all those, and then the right hand. Once you have all those double checked and everything good to go, you're going to go ahead and select it done, and then it'll close the box and the model will be complete. You can go ahead and click that, drag and drop it right onto the scene, and then you'll see it's transparent. Go ahead and open up the materials, click on the material that we made, select the shader. We're going to change it to Beat Saber Lit Glow, or any of these really. You can have fun with this. This is all just kind of trial and error, just playing around with what you like, as long as it is a Beat Saber shader. And then you're going to drag and drop the image into this texture box. What that'll do is it'll create this, it'll give the model a texture, and then you can play around with some of these settings. The only thing you really need to play around with is the ambient lighting. It's best to have it around 3, well 0.3 or 0.4-ish, somewhere around that area. Alright, so dynamic bones. You have them installed. We did that earlier. Go ahead and click on your character. Click down the armature. Down to hips. And then we have the skirt, the hair, and the other jiggly bits. Pinky face. And that all need to be modified. So, what you want to do is go ahead and click on the hips. And then add component. Oop. And then you want to type in dynamic, and then add dynamic bone. We're going to have to exclude some stuff. So what we're going to go ahead and do is open up the exclusions first. Size, we've got the spine, so that's 1, right leg, left leg, and then the hips, so 4. And element 1. And to save time, watch this shit. Fucking magic. Let's drag and drop. I'm sure some of you out there are really pissed right now because I just did that. Okay, now. Alright, so now we have to make sure we have that. We also don't need the hips. I lied. So there only needs to be 3. So we just need to do that. And then make sure that the root position, or the root bone, is the hips. Drag and drop that in there. And then you can see now there are these white lines indicating that those bones are dynamic. Now we get to go and play with some of these settings, because right now if we were to hit play, they're going to be a little crazy and they're not going to look like let's just say they won't look like skirt or like this. That's a no-no. It's too jiggly. So go ahead and stop that. The elasticity is how fast it goes back to its original position. So the lower the elasticity, the more floating it does, the slower it goes. So the higher up, the more rubbery it is. The stiffness is how much give there is, and then damping is how fast. So the higher the damping, the slower it moves. So if it's at 0, it's gonna, and like this is really high, it's gonna flail like crazy. Whereas if this was closer to like 8, it's gonna, and then this was real low, it would change that. Stiffness affects how much of the actual object changes. And then the inert, I can never remember, but I believe, I don't know, I don't remember what inert was, but that usually put that at 0.8 for skirts. Let's see what happens. Alright, stiffness. Go ahead and keep at like maybe 0.3. Right now this is all just kind of playing around with numbers until we get it, so we'll just skip through this and then show you the finished stuff. Okay. Zero elasticity. Oh yeah, I remember what inert was. This is with low inert, so it's more, kind of has more drag, and this, yeah, inert has more drag, just some inert, well none. A lot. It's how much inertia affects it, I guess. Did I forget to change that? I did. Okay, so for the most part, the skirt's pretty much done. I mean, if you look at, like, playing around really fast, you can see it kind of clips through. But, I mean, you're only going to be moving, like that at most, and not really forward and back in the game. Plus, the ducking and stuff, there's not really much of that. So this is, like, exaggerated movement. It'll be probably closer to something like this. So we might change it a little. I might end up changing that a little bit, but should be good for the most part. So go ahead and If you're in play mode, which is what I do, is I kind of mess around with the settings in play mode, then make sure you click on the highest tier, would be the blue name, and then you can drag the whole body, or the whole model, and then just go back to the root bone with the thing to adjust any of the settings. But when you're done, you're going to want to go ahead and right click, copy component values, or copy component rather. So copy component, and then you hit the play, and as you see, all the settings changed. Right click, paste component values, and boom, got all that there. Alright, now that we have that done, we're essentially doing the same thing with the... Now we want to go ahead and go to spine, chest, then we'll go to neck, head. Just go ahead and put the dynamic bone in the head, and then exclusion size, let's start it at like 8 or something, just so we have list. Alright, so okay, so after playing a while with the dynamic bones, what you're going to want to do is go ahead and add colliders as well. So what you want to do is have like a collider in your back so the hair doesn't go through you. Same with the skirt, you'd want colliders around the hips, and then like just in general, you just want colliders when you get hair like that, especially when it moves around a lot. Now to get the hands closed, what you are going to want to do, if you chose to go the blender route, you're going to go ahead and click on your the blue character, and then under body, you're going to select that, and then on the right panel there's a bunch of different stuff that you can mess with. What you're going to want to do is open up the drop down arrow for blend shapes and scroll all the way down to where you see hands closed, or whatever you named it in Blender, and you're going to change that value to 100, and you can see now that the hands are changed. That's literally it for the hands, and then you can move on from there. If you chose to do it in Unity instead, you'll have to do it a different way. Basically what you got to do is go into each individual bone and do that. So we'll go into the left shoulder, left arm, left elbow, left wrist, then you go to the index finger, yada yada yada. You basically have to click on each individual bone in this menu instead of the other. Also, fourth bone doesn't get touched. And then middle mouse button moves around, scroll zooms in, holding left click, right click. Makes you move like that. Okay, so that's how you do it in Unity. Now that we have everything all set up, we're going to go ahead and take care of the scaling and getting everything prepped for the actual game. Ooh boy. Okay, so what you want to do is go ahead and click on your character, right click, and then you want to make a, you want to create an empty, and then you want to rename that to the name of the character, and then you're going to drag that out of everything so it's on the very highest tier on the hierarchy. You're going to drag your character into that one. So now it's a tier down on the hierarchy. Next, what you want to do is click on the inner one first, and then change the position and the rotation all to 0, and then do the same thing with the copy that you made. Next, you're going to want to make sure that you scale your avatar correctly so they're not enormous or tiny in game. You want to go to the assets folder and you want to open up the template full body, and you'll see a couple of things. You're going to go ahead and drag the full body into the game. And as you can see, I already scaled mine, but you're going to have this purple template body that should be about what your character size should be. Make it to scale. This is just your average size. So I went ahead and scaled it as close as possible to that. But what you're going to do is go into the highest tier and then change the scale values of the X, Y, and the Z until you get them correct. If I were to change the Y back to 1, you see it's a little too tall. Once you finish doing that, you're going to go ahead and delete the full body template because you no longer need that. And that part is done. Now your scaling is good. After that, we're going to go ahead and add the custom empty game objects for your hands, your head, and your body. The first thing you want to do is go ahead and open up your armature down to spine into the head. Got your neck. You're going to click on head, right click it, create empty, and a new game object will spawn. What you want to do is go ahead and rename that. You can either right click and hit rename or just double click it slowly and change that to head. And then you're going to right click that, create empty. Now there's a game object inside of it. You're going to go ahead and change that to head target. And we're going to move that all the way up above your character. So now if you were to close that and that, they'd be on the same level in the hierarchy. You're going to do the same process for both hands, left and right, and then a similar thing to the body. You're going to want to go ahead and select the main root bone that you created back in Blender. Right click that, create empty, and rename that to body, and then move that up just under head. Where this is different is you don't have to create a body target. The next two are your hands, which you will need hand targets. You're going to go ahead and go into your left shoulder, left arm, left elbow, and then your wrist. It's the one level above your fingers. Right click that, create empty, then do the same thing with the object. Rename the game object to left hand, and then rename the lower object to left hand target. You're going to drag those, bring that right under the body. Drop down into the right arm and do the same exact thing. Rename the object to right hand and the lower one to right hand target. Then you're going to go ahead and move those up right under left hand. Now you have all your targets set, and that part is done. Now I forgot to mention this earlier in the video, but there is also a Saber Mesh that you can download if you don't have the custom sabers already. There'll be a link in the description to download that. And what you're going to do is download it and drag and drop the mesh into the assets folder just like you did at the beginning with the player model. And then what you can do is drag it straight into here and then put it right under left hand. So it should be at a hierarchy level lower. Do it again for the right hand. And then you want to change the X, Y, and Z values of the position to 0 and the rotation to 0. Do the same for both sabers. Now the sabers are only a temporary thing. They're just used to give you a better idea of where they are. They're not going to be exact, but they will make life a little easier when you're positioning things, mostly with rotation. And then when you're done, you just delete them. You'll just delete them just like that. Select them, hit delete, good to go. Okay, next we have the actual target values. So what you want to do is copy these down. For the most part, they should be good enough to where you can just throw those values into your hands and call it a day. But you definitely want to double check once you get in-game or using the play function, which I haven't figured out yet. But for the left hand, If your character is in a pose like this, where the arms are slightly angled downwards, the value for your left hand is going to be 0.039, Y is 0.07, Z negative 0.065, and so on. So these are going to be your values for your left hand, and then your right hand. What you can do to kind of save time, right click on the component, copy component, and then go into your right hand target, right click, paste component values, and then change the values as needed. The X value needs to be negative instead of positive for the right hand. The Y value needs to be negative on the rotation for the right hand, and then the Z value has to be positive as well for the rotation. And those are the only three things you need to change, and your saber should be close, if not perfectly aligned with your hands. If not, then you have to go in and start playing around with these numbers. The position I'd recommend mess around with. Rotation should be good. Rotation's usually on point, but the position may need to be changed ever so slightly. But when you do that, only work on one value at a time. Don't like go change all three of them, because it is kind of it can get kind of confusing and you might mess up. If your character is in T pose, so the arms are higher up, so in a straight, like they're horizontal to the grid, these are your values. For the right pose, these are your values, and then left hand, these are the values. The X and the Y on the left and the right should be the only ones that are inverted. On the X and the Y for the right hand, X is positive, Y is negative. And then on the left hand, the X is negative and the Y is positive. And then that will take care of hand positioning. When it comes to the head target, it's fairly simple. It's just the Y-axis. You will have to make minor adjustments after you export the model, because you will notice that in-game your avatar may be always crouching or always on your... So what you have to do is adjust the height of the target. The lower it goes, the taller it will be. So if you have it real low, it'll compensate for your player height and allow the model to properly move like you would. The next thing that we want to do is go ahead and select our blue name and then add component. You're going to type in VRIK. You're going to add that component. Then you're going to click on add component again. You're going to type in the IK manager and then add that one as well. Once you have both of those, you're going to go ahead and open up the IK manager first, since it's easier, and you'll have 3 targets that you need to fill out. Top one is going to be your head target, so you can go ahead and drag head target over and fill out that box, and then you're going to want to drag left hand target to the left hand and then the right hand target to the right hand. The next part is a little tedious, but it has to be done. You're going to go ahead and fill out all these reference tabs. If you don't have the toes, you're fine. The root is going to be the base one that you made in Blender. Then you're going to go down the list and just fill out all the stuff. After that, you're going to go to the solver, open up right arm, left arm, and spine. You're going to add the head, not the head target, but the head to the head. The left arm target is going to be left hand, or the right arm target is going to be the right hand. Next, we're going to go ahead and click on the highest parent in the hierarchy, so whatever you have the name to that should be in black text. You go ahead and add component and type in avatar, and you're going to add the avatar descriptor. Once you have that, all you do is add name of the skin and then your name for the author, and you're done with that. Once everything is complete, your avatar is ready to be exported. You're going to go to Window and hit Avatar Exporter, and you'll see this. Make sure these fields are correct. Click Export, and then you'll be brought up with one of these. Name the file name and hit Save. The final thing to do now is to go ahead and open up your Beat Saber directory, open up Custom Avatars, and drag and drop your avatar that you created straight into the folder, and you're ready to go. Now all you have to do is launch the game and cycle through page up until you find your avatar.